Let's have a look to see what
It's got its inboard push rod setup.
Oh wow! Okay, so I'm here with my old friend Andrew Kime. How are we doing, Andrew?
Yeah, not bad.
Good, good. We're here at round 1 of 2021 Time Attack. I was away for all of last year. You've been away for a little while as well.
2018. Pembury
was your last
round I did. Pembury.
Yeah. And we're back with Old Faithful, this machine. The same one that you've been competing with since you've ever started Time Attack, right?
Same car, just slightly different colour scheme and a few tweaks here and there as the years have gone on. Okay,
so for those of us not that familiar with it, I mean, I've seen it over the years. Tell us, what is the base car here?
It's a Citroen Saxo.
Citroen Saxo. So from this era, it's about late 90s, early 90s,
yeah, around that time.
Around that era?
This is a Mark 1 chassis, so
okay, so it's like the
2000
first ever.
And they stopped making them 2003 was the last time they made the Mark 2s, but the Mark 1 stopped a little bit before that, I believe.
Okay, and like if my memory serves, the base model, there was a couple of different versions. The VTS and the VTR were the names that I remember the most. Which one did this one start as?
This is actually a donor out of a VTR, to be fair.
Okay, so it's a VTR?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know my French cars that well. What was the difference between those models?
Valves, so VTR had 8-valve engine, and the VTS had a 16-valve engine.
Ah, I see. So the VTS was the higher performance version of the two?
Very similar to the 106 as well.
I believe the chassis are almost the same, right? So does that mean buying parts for a car like this is relatively easier because so parts are compatible?
It's getting harder, obviously, because they're getting older and older now.
Right.
But most of our stuff is now quite bespoke to the car. So I don't really buy off-the-shelf stuff anymore. A lot of stuff's been fabricated to fit. Did
you initially buy this car as a track car?
It was just meant to be a track goer car, really. Quite a basic spec. Just track suspension going and quite a standard engine with some throttle bodies. And then I heard about Time Attack and decided to give it a go.
Remind me, what year was your first year of Time Attack?
I believe 2016. I think I may have done a couple of one-hit wonders back in 2015, and my full season I think was 2016.
Okay. And you've competed with this same car the whole time, haven't you? You've never changed cars. No. And improvements over the years here and there.
Tried to improve it, really.
All right. Well,
the main aim was always handling with the car. Try and maximise the handling first, and then move on to the engine secondly.
Okay. Well, can you just talk us through this car a little bit then? Shall we start from the intake to the engine to the exhaust, and then all the chassis and suspension parts? So straight away, we see the intake system here. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, they're made by a company called Scatchel Engineering. They're a full bespoke set of throttle bodies, made in-house fully. There's no parts that have come off the shelf from any other company. They've all machined them themselves and made them up.
Okay, so this was made specifically for your car? Or is
it was made in. It works close with a guy, Sandy Brown, and it's made for this spec of engine.
I see.
For the time being.
And we spoke about it just privately earlier, but the choice to actually go with with throttle bodies stay naturally aspirated in 2021 is a rare choice these days. Was there something behind your thinking as to why you wanted to go that route?
I just love the noise, to be honest with you. It's just all about the noise for me. I just love the noise of throttle bodies, really roaring. That's what really comes to it, really.
There's a real great sensation for when you're driving it. You feel like you're absolutely
on the limit. You've got to literally drive it on the limit to maximise it. It's got to be the peak of the power. Literally comes right at the end of the rev range. Right. It has to be driven flat out.
How many revs can you get out of this engine right now?
It is limited due to a few specs of the engine. So it actually only revs about 8.2.
You say only, but that's fairly high for modern turbo engines and things aren't revving as high these days. No. So 8,000 plus is considered high. I remember, in the mid to late 90s, 8,000 RPM as a rev limit, especially on things like the Honda VTEC engines. That was considered really high. Yeah. So I mean, 8,000 is a lot higher. Like the stock engine can't do 8,000, can it?
No. I think they're limited. I think they're 7,200. I think is there.
Oh, okay. It's still relatively high,
Yeah.
7,200. Okay. So then we go into the engine itself. So this is a 16-valve engine, like from the BTS. Is that right? So it's had an engine transplant.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really a transplant. It's still the same block as what originally. It's still a TU block.
Okay. Okay.
So the TU block is just the generic block, and then the heads. So it's still a TU block on the engine.
Ah, I see. So rather than changing the whole engine, you can just change the head.
We can't just change head, but they're all born from the TU family.
Ah, okay.
So it's all the same spec of family
right.
of engine. TU is a particular spec for these cars.
Ah, I see. And then so internally to the engine, in order to be able to get it to rev that much higher, I assume you've had a bit of work done inside as well?
Yeah, it's been extensively modified by Sandy Brown, the engine builder.
Okay.
He built the engine.
Is that a relatively new thing that you've had done to it, or?
This is a brand new engine for this year. This was literally only finished. I only got the engine back from Sandy in February, finished. Then I had to put it in, then take it back to the rollers because it actually goes on the dyno, actual engine dyno first, and he checks everything over on there first before handing it over to me, and then I install it in, and then we take it back down and get the final checks done, the final setup.
And what kind of power is it making then?
It's just between 230 and 250.
230, 250 horsepower. And the capacity, the original capacity is 1.6 litres, is that right? Is that still around that mark? You haven't actually increased?
It's increased.
Okay.
So it's a lot higher now.
So it's about 1,700, something like that?
Yeah, it's just over 1,700.
Just over. Because you're competing in time attack's pocket rocket class still. Yeah. And I believe that means the limit is, I think, 1,750 if you're turbo supercharged.
No, it's 1,600 turbos, and then natural aspirated is 2.2, I believe, is the maximum CC you can go.
So in terms of the regulations, you've actually got a fair amount of headroom still.
Yeah. I don't think there's much more you can take this engine to, though. I think that's the limit of the CCs, not it?
Yeah, okay. So the limit's more in the engine rather than in the regs or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then exhaust-wise, we've got a...
That's done by Edwards Motorsport. He manufactured the exhaust it has to be manufactured for this engine.
Oh, okay. So this was designed to fit around the spec of the engine you had built. So this is new too.
Yeah.
It's beautifully made, and I love how we have the pipe lengths being adjusted here, so that we've actually got quite a long. So it is a 4:1 collector, but we have fairly long runs for
primaries,
each of them. And all the lengths are matched as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful piece of welding and pipe bending. And then we run it all the way back to the exhaust, which we'll have a look at from behind, because that's looking quite special as well. And if we turn our attention, transmission wise, is there anything particularly special going on?
Dog box, 5-speed dog box.
Okay.
So straight cut with a gripper diff, built by a company called Drentford in Holland.
Okay.
They sell the gear sets, so you've got a gear set, put it in one of them casings.
So the gear set is designed to suit the stock
so
gearbox case?
It's a very short ratio box. I've had to put the longest fifth gear in so I can maximise straight line speed.
Okay, and even then you're not a great...
No, I do. I will probably run out of revs at Snetterton.
Okay. And at what kind of speed do you think you'll reach at that point?
I think the max this gearbox will go to is 124.
Okay.
And then it'll just run out of gears. But that's just keep the ratios down.
Yeah, it's probably busy work then in the...
Yeah, a lot of gear changes.
Nice and close all around. And then we have the ducting here for the air inlet that runs down to where the headlight is here. Just looking cooling wise, the main radiator doesn't look like it's particularly big.
No.
You're not producing a lot of heat because you haven't got a turbo or anything like that.
That's just off a diesel. That's a diesel Saxo setup.
Oh, okay.
So it's, I think.
So it's slightly larger than the stock one. Is it?
It's only so we could have a remote header, because the old header used to sit here.
Right.
And it would foul with the manifold, so we had to put that to put a remote header over there.
So that's a recent change to match
That was
this?
there last time, but I used
Okay.
to have the header tank over here, but I had to put the catch tank over here to get it to breathe back into the engine.
Ah, I see. A lot of thought and planning going on there. How involved are you personally in these kind of things, or do you let the pros just get on with it?
I put this together.
Right.
I build it, but the engine and some of the bits I have bay for me because I'm not an engine builder.
Yeah,
So,
once it's inside the engine, that's quite a specialist
yeah, but
area.
I put all this together.
Fantastic. And then on the other cooling front, is that an oil cooler that I see there tucked in? So
Just a monocool cooler is
yeah,
to a sandwich plate.
but it's not. Again, it's not a huge item. It's just enough
No.
to. Is that there more as a precaution rather than anything?
No,
else?
we do need all control.
Okay. Very good. All right. So let's just have a look suspension wise. So we've got these mounts here. Is the stock top mount mounted
No,
with as many
this-
as 6 bolts?
No, this is another thing by Scratch Engineering. This is their front suspension setup with Penske dampers inside,
Oh, I see. Okay.
and there's AP Racing front brakes as well.
Is that 4-pop brakes?
Yeah. I don't need
And
a massive brakes.
About as big as you're going to get inside these
Yeah.
wheels. What size wheels and tyres are these, Andrew?
They're 15-inch,
Okay.
8-inch wide.
15 by 8.
Yeah.
And the 225 45 15 tyres. Because the rear suspension's an interesting thing on these, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because they use the torsion bar system, is it?
Yeah, but I've actually got something a bit different on mine.
Oh,
That's
cool.
done again by Scratch Engineering.
Okay.
They make and produce this rear suspension.
Is that something we can see from above, or is it?
No, you have to go underneath.
You have to go underneath. Let's have a look to see what we
Got
can
its
find.
inboard push rod setup.
Oh wow! Is this a commercially available
Yep.
item, or
All that stuff is available through Scratch Engineering.
that looks insane? I never. Is this a common kind of setup on these cars? or-
It's getting more common. They do sell a fair few of these now. They've been doing them. I've had that on since I've had this car, pretty much.
Right.
So it's a well-rounded setup.
So anybody who's serious about the handling performance on a
Saxo 106.
or a 106 would go to this kind of inboard.
Yeah, this is probably the high end of what Saxo's 106s
Okay.
are.
And the dampers and the springs are also spec by Scratch.
Yeah, they're done for the kit. So I've got
Okay.
Gaz on the rear,
Uh-huh.
but you can get other different ones. There's loads of valuable shocks now available for front and back kits.
Oh, okay.
So it's their
And
full suspension
Is
kit.
it the general case that the front and the rear are sold separately and people
Oh, yeah,
tend
you
to
can-
find
you
their
can-
own combination,
yeah,
or do you
you
buy
can-
it as a?
You can buy the whole thing, or you can buy just fronts, or you can just buy rears. It depends what you want to do. And you can have, there's Bilstein front dampers, which are the just basic set of group. I think it's Group A tarmac dampers, and then obviously you can progress and have different dampers in there if you want. AST,
Right.
Penske, and all sorts of different.
That's very interesting
Dampers.
because you were always used to seeing dampers as a front and rear set, and everybody sort of doesn't like to mix and match too
Yeah.
much. But with a setup like this, you actually have quite
Yeah.
a bit more scope. Just going back down here, I was just noticing the exhaust as well. It looks pretty special, and all the places that get hot are a nice tinge of blue. So I'm guessing there's a lot of titanium involved in
Yeah,
this.
that's a titanium system back from the manifold with a race cap in there.
Okay, so everything from the manifold back.
Apart
is-
from the cat is actually not stainless. It's stainless because I
Oh,
don't
look at
think.
you actually still having a proper cat.
Yeah, I think you'll have to for the regs.
Yes, absolutely. Very nice. So that's done mostly for weight and also because it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I think we spoke about it earlier. This car is obviously a big advantage being its lightweightness.
Yeah.
How much did you say it weighed?
I haven't never had it actually weighed yet. I never got
Right.
around to that. It's all being a bit tight, but I believe it'd be around 750, 760.
750 kilograms.
Yeah.
Without you in it, but as it is right now, ready
That's-
to
yeah.
drive. Wow. Like anything under a ton in 2021 is considered super light.
They were quite a light car to be fair from standard, so
Right.
stripping out the basic stuff gets the weight down quite well.
Yep, and stripped it is. If I have a look inside, and straight away, as I try to open the door, the first thing I notice is there's nothing to this door at all. Is it? Oh, it's FRP on the inside.
Yeah.
So the whole door is.
It's a kind of fiberglass blend, but it's been vacuum packed and sucked to bring out all the moisture out of it. So actually look in the holes that have been cut for various things. You can see it's a different kind of weave to a normal fiberglass weave.
Right. It's got it doesn't have that flimsiness that
no,
that you normally feel in a piece like this. And the
way
way that
flexible, that to be fair, the actual skins.
Right.
They're quite a flexible skin. It's not like a real stiff.
I think it's the shape that you've molded it to, because you've allowed, you know, these sort of folds in the shape has allowed it to keep its rigidity quite well. I think, yeah, if you look at the center of a flat piece here, you can see there's quite a bit of movement here. We've got the high-tech door handle going on here.
Keep it very basic, that.
This is how we save weight.
Yeah.
And then inside we have AIM dash here. So you want a standalone engine management?
Yeah, DTA engine management, S80, and then AIM's MXG dash that can bust all the data from the ECU.
That's the ECU there, then up there on the dash, is it? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Let's see, all the wiring.
And then electric power steering set up, which is variable sensitivity.
Oh, okay. So you're adjusting your
can
power
adjust
steering response based on speed or something like that?
Or just on feel, just get a nice different feel for it. Depends if you want it nice and loose or.
Oh, okay. So that
stiffer.
you can switch that on personal preference.
Yeah, I can set that up to how I feel.
Interesting. One of the things, see, like the pedals look like they're pretty much the default standard pedals.
All standard pedal box, really.
Now, my mum had a 1996 Peugeot 106. And whenever I drove this, the first thing I did was, instead of being able to actually get my foot on the accelerator, I always used to kick this wheel arch.
Yeah.
And I always felt like the pedals were a bit offset. You know, like it didn't feel like it was in the place that I expected it to be. And it always felt a bit like I was sat a bit twisted and wonky in the driver's seat. Do you find that as well?
Well, I've tried to correct that a little bit by
okay.
mounting the seats a bit squarer to the pedals.
Ah, okay.
But I do tend to find to tap my foot on that bulge as when I'm waiting to go out.
It's definitely there right in front of you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what you've done is you've brought the driver's seat into the centre a little bit more?
Yeah, and tried to clock it round so I'm quite square onto the pedals.
I
keep
see,
it
I
square.
see. Okay. So it wasn't just me then feeling that.
No, I think they are slightly
it does
kicked off.
And again, super lightweight seat and tilt model. Again, was the choice of that to keep the weight down as much as possible. Very interesting. TRS harnesses into the roll cage. Has the roll cage spec changed much over the years?
No, that's exactly the same as it's when I put it in.
And it's built to the standard of...
yeah, Edwards Motorsport did the roll cage for me.
Oh, okay. Looks very... Okay, yeah, so it doesn't have to go all the way up to the rear corners, does it? It just needs to protect you and then drops down from there. Now, to my layman eye, I see a nice weave going on in your passenger seat here.
Yeah.
It looks like some carbon fibres going on. It looks very, very fancy. Basically looks like the same seat, but with carbon on it, whereas your driver's seat isn't.
That's just down to the dates. That was actually 2019. This one's actually a 2024 date.
Okay,
so I chose to use the newer one.
The regs require a passenger seat, do they? Or?
Yeah.
But the driver's seat must be in date as per the regulations.
I don't know if it has to be in date, but I just wanted the one which was newer.
Oh, I see.
Just for my preference.
And then from that Quaife dog box, we see the linkage to the gear shifter, which has your balaclava over at the moment on the gear knob. Is that linkage the way that it's built in the standard car?
Again, that's Scatch Engineering gear shifter. That's done by them. to bring it up to the steering wheel and to get it close, so that it's not such a big throw anymore.
Ah, I see. So it's still pivoting somewhere.
Yeah, it pivots actually right at the front.
I see, yeah.
It all pivots right down here. There's a bit that comes out, you probably struggle to see it.
Let's see.
But if you have to go right in there, and there's a attachment all in there.
Let's see how we catch it. It might be a little bit difficult to see.
In there, there's like the pivot and the rose joints that all, and then it obviously comes across the gearbox and arms, change the gears.
Fantastic.
That's another thing by Scratch Engineering, which is they sell them as well to anybody.
Okay, so
quite a lot of Saxon 160
that's specific to this gear set, is it? Or
yeah, they do a BE one, which is a BE gearbox, and they do an MA one as well, which for the original gearboxes these cars came with.
Oh yeah, of course, because the casing's the same. It's not actually dependent on what gear set you're running. Even if you had a standard gear set inside it, you could actually run that.
They do it for both. They do the kits for both.
Right. So as a driver, the feel that you're getting is the fact that you don't have to pull your hand away from the steering wheel as much.
Yeah, it's right there.
And the throw's relatively short.
Yeah.
I see. And then just behind the seat, we have the fuel tank.
Yep.
Looks like a relatively small item.
It's only 20 litres.
20 litres?
Yeah.
And we're here at Cadwell today. How long or how many laps do you think?
It will do a 20-minute session at most places.
Oh, okay.
So it's plenty enough fuel for what I need.
Yep.
Out of this. And obviously have a 1 litre swirl pot at the front as well. I'll do a little bit extra, but yeah.
So you've designed it around doing sort of those kind of length of sessions.
It started out just doing time, and then I started to build the car more focused on doing shorter runs.
Is there much thought that you need to put into the planning and design of your cell to have it sat in the cabin, so to speak, just behind you?
I've dropped it down a fair bit to keep the weight low as possible, and then obviously you have to put a second cover over the top, so that cover's actually a cover that's covering the actual fuel tank.
Right.
But it's actually set low in the ground to try and keep the weight down as much as possible, and try to centralise. That's what it was put there to keep it in the centre of the car.
And then we have the filler this side.
Yep.
And then to the other side,
that's just the breather.
We have the breather hose that comes off there. We can
obviously all second skinned as per regulations.
Yeah. Is it? It must be quite daunting though, the whole time knowing that you've got a massive tank of fuel sat right behind you.
I don't really think about it, to be fair.
Well, when you're driving, I guess you have to worry about what's in front of you rather than what's behind you.
It's been good in the whole, really. Don't really have any issues.
But so the location of it, is that something to do with keeping it in the centre so that the weight distribution doesn't change as it? I mean, you've not got a lot of weight there. It's only 20 kilos, of course, but so
it's foam filled as well inside the tank to try and stop the sloshing.
Right.
But yeah, I've tried to make sure everything's more central in the middle of the car, so I don't spread, so the weight doesn't. It just spreads nicely in the middle of the car, really.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for this tour of your car. There's, what I wanted to cover was like so many of the little details and the things that people, the effort that people put into their cars, and I'm really glad that you're one of the first that I've managed to do like this, because obviously you know your car, and we've been working on it for so many years. In terms of the future, Andrew, do you see much changing with it?
Bit of pieces. I've got to change a few bits and pieces to try and handle a few issues I've still got with it, because obviously it's still quite new in terms of engine. But just need to get some seat time really now with it. Just get comfortable in the car again. It's been a long time out. I didn't really ever drive on the track the whole time I've been out. So this is really the only second time I've drove it. So I just got to get the feel back in the car. But there's probably future developments, but they're a bit down the line yet.
Cars like this require a lot of bravery to drive them properly fast, and get the most out of them. So, I admire people who deliberately go down this route when relatively easy to make power these days. So people who are still choosing to make lap time through the old school methods are
I do feel the basic essence of this car. I just love it, enjoy driving it, try to push the limits every time. It makes just it's just enjoyable, really.
Fantastic. Yeah. Just finally, you've been out for a session so far today. How did it feel?
Yeah, it felt good. Just a warm-up session. Tried to just feel everything back in the car. I was here yesterday doing a track day, so this morning just tried to make everything get hot, make sure everything's still working as it should, check everything. So hopefully, weather holds out and we have a good practice session.
Good stuff. Well, thanks, Andrew. I've kept you for way longer than I promised I would.
That's all right.
But we'll catch up again soon.
Cheers. Thank you.